This point.
Good afternoon, Senate Chairs Comrie and Kennedy, and distinguished members of the New York State Senate Standing Committee on Corporations, Authorities, and Commissions, and the Senate Standing Committee on Transportation. I'm Edward Valente. I'm joined here by my Legislative Director, Anthony Aprea. I'm here today to speak on behalf of the approximately 2,000 essential Metro-North Railroad operating craft employees represented by the Association of Commuter Rail Employees, ACRE. Our titles include conductors, engineers, power directors, rail traffic controllers, signalmen, yard masters, and assistant station masters, all united under one labor organization. We thank your committees for the opportunity to testify at this important hearing on the MTA and the aftermath of COVID-19 and its receipt of federal aid, as well as on the MTA transformation plan. I will start by paying tribute to the essential workers who ensured continued commuter service throughout the entirety of the COVID-19 pandemic. ACRE members heeded the call at great personal risk every day in order to ensure that the trains continued to operate for the first responders, the healthcare professionals, other essential workers, and others as the economy began reopening. However, despite ACRE's continued objections, basic COVID-19 protocols were difficult, if not impossible, to comply with due to a skeletal schedule, packing trains, and precluding appropriate social distancing. Turning towards the MTA transformation plan. This effort was intended to consolidate sprawling bureaucratic departments with the hope and anticipation that the authority would be more efficient. However, from ACRE's perspective, there has been no downsizing except for public-facing service, and in contrast, we are faced with more bureaucracy than ever. It appears that most decisions are made at MTA headquarters, so all levels of Metro-North management are completely handcuffed on matters of policy, despite being our designated points of contact. Centralizing decision-making does not reduce inefficiencies if there is no corresponding reduction in the bureaucracy. Even the most routine daily interfacing between ACRE and Metro-North often requires our counterparts in management to circle back to MTA headquarters before they can provide us with a response. In contrast, the MTA has directly eliminated service-side jobs. Cutting these service jobs directly translate to cutting customer satisfaction and commuter safety. For example, the transformation plan cut 2 assistant station master jobs. These workers provide a myriad of duties, including, but not limited to, assisting customers during track changes or service disruptions, ensuring escalators are working properly, notifying the MTA PD of any intoxicated customers that pose a safety risk, and notifying the MTA police of any criminal activity. In fact, several years ago, an assistant station master saved someone's life by performing CPR on them. Prior to these cuts, an assistant station master was dedicated to the north end access of Grand Central Terminal. And currently, the assistant station masters do not have dedicated coverage, with the ASMs expected to cover the main terminal and check in on the north end access when they have time. It is not in the best interest of patrons for the agency to reduce the number of service workers, and ACRE strongly urges the MTA to reduce inefficiencies and redundancies in its bureaucracy, rather than eliminating workers on the front line. In addition, ACRE has a number of proposals of our own that we see as a true transformation plan for Metro-North Railroad. Expediting Metro-North's expansion in the East Bronx will seed new opportunities and further encourage residents to ditch cars and congestion. In addition, the creation of a new line will lead to more job opportunities for the railroad: conductors, engineers, rail traffic controllers, signal maintainers, and more, allowing us to service a growing transit need while continuing to prove that we are the best at what we do. As President Rinaldi has often said, Metro-North is a regional railroad, and management should keep an open mind in order to remain ahead of the curve. It has been long talked about, but now is the time to consider expanding service to Albany. For all the economic upheaval wrought by the pandemic, easier access to the greater public transit network is an important antidote that would provide new lifelines and opportunities by linking our region together. Even before expanding, Metro-North must meet the demands of ridership. For example, railroads not running enough express trains to meet the demands of customers during rush hour service. Acre has strongly advocated for increased service for months, and it's time management addressed this need rather than continuing to dig in its heels. Finally, Acre also believes that the MTA should be looking forward in regard to environmental impact upon the railroad. A massive storm on the evening of September 1st literally shut down the system, with much of Metro-North territory flooded. This weather-related disruption should be perceived as the norm rather than the exception, and the agency must put a plan in place to address the various impacts of climate change upon its infrastructure. In conclusion, Acre looks forward to working closely with the MTA, Metro-North, and as always, the New York State Legislature to ensure that the regional riders have a safe and efficient commuter experience and that our membership is safe as they service the riding public. Acre remains committed to a transformation that improves the quality of service our members provide to a growing number of riders. We believe that the future of public commuter rail transportation requires an alliance between the MTA, its employees, elected officials, and the public we all serve. With your assistance and oversight, we are committed to working with all railway stakeholders to continue to expand and improve the safe, efficient service the taxpayers and riding public expect and deserve. I thank you for your time and consideration, and I look forward to answering any questions the panel may have.
Thank you. Any questions on
Yes.
Senator Mayor?
Yes, I do, and thank you both for being here and being patient. Thank you for your service during COVID on all the Metro-North lines, two of which are in my district. And the third, the Hudson line, while it's not in my district, I did go and witness what happened. And I just would say that Mr. Lieber referenced the wall falling down on the Hudson line and furniture being in there. But the fact is that the other lines on the Metro-North were flooded due to flooding problems, and I'm glad you raised resiliency, and I really think they have work to do on that front. I have two specific questions. One is, you pointed out that when you try to address labor management issues with Metro-North, at this point, they all have to go back to the MTA. Even though your employer is Metro-North, and traditionally your negotiations are with Metro-North, has that been a change from prior practice where you used to be able to resolve things directly with Metro-North without having to go to the MTA?
Yes, it's gotten worse over the years, but now it's all different sorts of policy, from administrative leave for when you're exposed to COVID, to simple things as adding an assistant station master job. So it's expanding, and it's getting worse, where the officials at Metro-North know the needs of Metro-North, so they should be able to make those decisions rather than having to get it approved through headquarters, which slows down the process or completely stops the process, and that's an issue.
Well, like a station master or assistant station master, it's hard for me to understand why that requires the big MTA bureaucracy to decide whether such a person is warranted or not. And I would assume traditionally that's something you worked out with the Metro-North management in past years.
Yeah, years ago, they would be able to add the position. Not anymore. It has to go, come back as a new need, go to budgets at the MTA and be approved.
Excuse me, you mean for a single assistant station master, you have to go through all these committees of the MTA in order to get approval?
That's correct.
Okay. Secondly, you mentioned the reduction in express trains during this time of somewhat restored service, and I know I've had constituents complain their commute is much longer from the suburbs if they're willing to take the trains, which we want to encourage people to do. What is the reduction in express trains that Metro-North has done during this period?
I don't have the exact number, but just to give you an example, usually around the 4, 5 o'clock time frame,
Right.
you'd see many different expresses. Even when I go to take the train home, they're not there. They're locals, almost all of them. So they should have really kept the expresses they had to the prior schedule, or sprinkled in more during these rush hour times like they've historically had. And it's a disservice to the people commuting, especially from areas in your district.
Right. Have you raised that directly with Metro North?
Yes.
And?
They're looking into it.
Okay, lastly, Metro North to Albany. I would just say, as someone who gave up on Amtrak to Albany after many years, that I think Metro North to Albany, if we had a better MTA board, would be a very attractive opportunity for many of my colleagues in the legislature and others who go to Albany on a regular basis from January to June. So I fully look forward to working with you on that idea, provided we get some changes at the MTA.
Great, thank you.
Good afternoon, almost good evening.
Yeah.
Thank you both for being here, for your patience, for sticking it out. I know you've been here since the beginning, the opening testimony here. I want to follow up and piggyback on what Senator Mayer just brought up. It's her district, but it's something that we've discussed, and that is the expansion of Metro North service from the city up to Albany. The examination of it. Can you talk a little bit about the benefits that you would see with such a proposal and what that would mean to not only your servicemen and women that are on the front lines each and every day, but also, most importantly, to those riders?
Yeah, I mean, it just give them another means of another means of getting to where they have to go. You know, it's been talked about for years. I have people that live up that way that currently are commuting further, so it creates job opportunities closer to home for them. I think we had an effort years ago about at least going up to was it Rhinebeck?
Yeah.
Yep. Also, and that didn't go anywhere. But you know, I believe it's needed, and our members are really would be excited if it were to happen.
And then as far as, again, we've said this respectively to each and every one of the labor leaders who have come before us today, because it's important that we recognize the sacrifices that your membership has given to the system, to our city, our region, our state, and our nation. So our condolences to those families of yours that have been lost.
Thank you.
And then, in response to the pandemic, there were changes that were made on Metro North and service changes. Can you talk about where you're at today, what you're seeing out there, and ways that we can promote the MTA to make specific changes that'll enhance the ridership, enhance the service, and ultimately the system? You're there every day. We've talked about it. Can you share that publicly, please?
Sure, yeah. During the week, we're at 82% of a pre-COVID schedule. On the weekends, where they've seen ridership up the most, around 70 to 80%, depending on the day of pre-COVID ridership, we're at 100% pre-COVID service. What I think, obviously the express trains, right, is one of the things that the passengers are clamoring for. And I think Metro North needs to be nimble, right, and not dig their heels in when they're getting these calls for, hey, we need more express service. They need to be able to say, all right, well, let's really look at this and talk to the unions and try to make these changes to accommodate, because we're trying to entice people back, right, not keep our arm up and push them away, especially when we're in a world where you can telecommute. So I think that's really important, because I read an article that was in the paper that Metro North said that they wouldn't look to increase service until the spring of 2022. And I think that type of thinking really is short-sighted, and it's not what we need today. We need to be able to react and add these trains quickly. And I think they should look at the express trains right away.
Excellent. And as far as the response that you've gotten from the MTA and as far as PPE and the COVID response, can you talk about I know you mentioned it where you began, but where you are today and, you know, if you have the confidence in the leadership.
Yeah, so during the beginning of the pandemic, we had the same issues that my brothers in labor communicated, right? We had, at first there was something that came out that said you couldn't wear a mask, and then that was quickly changed to you have to wear a mask, you know? So that was out there at the beginning. We had trouble getting the sanitizer, but that was relatively quickly rectified. What troubled me the most was the crowding during the pandemic. The crowding occurred on certain trains, and we, you know, shouted from the higher authority that I think we all kind of talked about today, and you know, I think it put riders at risk at the time. I think it put my members at risk at the time, and you know, it was sad to see.
Thank you. Mr. Valente, can you leave a copy of your statement so that we can have it in the written record as well? I know it was taped, but they would just like to have a written record. I forgot to ask Mr. Henry if he provided a written record for his statement as well. I want to thank you for coming. I want to thank you for your patience and everything that you said. Clearly, there's a theme here that the MTA is not listening to people, and we need to correct that. And as you know, I've been working with Acre and working with you directly on your direct issues, and I look forward to ramping it up as we have now a great opportunity to make some real change at the MTA. So thank you. And you know, as you know, the assault bill, you had members assaulted also during this time of COVID because of people that were being ridiculous on the trains, and we need to, you know, work to get this assault bill taken care of.
Absolutely, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for being here. And with that, we'll go to the next panel.